Hello everybody, this is Desmunch530. So as promised from earlier today, I'll be doing a video talking about something very important, and that is the new Siege update / season. And time for me to talk about it because this season is my favorite of all time. So let's get into the play-by-play. So there's three big things happen. One, Thatcher got nerfed. His EMPs no longer destroy any objects, they only disable them for a short period of time. I believe it's 15 seconds, which changes a lot of the meta around, because then it's bandit tricking is no longer anywhere near as good as it used to be. Other things like that change. Kali becomes much better. The second and biggest one is the sight changes. For those that don't know, the 1.5, 2x, and 3x optics have been added to the game. Rook is the only defender with 2x. Every other defender has, I believe, has at least one weapon with a 1x, or 1.5x. And sorry, I forgot to mention. Also, the ACS-12 on Maestro has the 2x optic. Most operators have lost their ACOGs in return for 1.5 or 2x optics, including attacking. What else? 3x optics have been added instead of ACOGs for DMRs. And you'll get to see the 2x scope a lot in this gameplay because I love it. You'll see it right here. It is a very, very clean optic, and I love it. This optic has single-handedly made me a 308 fanboy, a Spear 308 with suppressor fanboy, and I cannot stop using this gun. Same thing with Jackal's gun. Jackal's gun basically feels like it's pre-patched. That's how good it is. So let's get into the rest of it before I start talking about the final chunk. Few operator balancings other than Thatcher. Not too much big. But the biggest thing other than all those was the addition of the new op. I've not been able to play him yet, and I'm getting an operator review out about him as soon as I can. But sadly, it's going to take longer than expected due to some issues. Namely, me not being able to purchase him until Thursday because I don't have the season pass because I'm a freebie this year. But yeah, so time for me to start talking about the overall season, what I've done so far, considering the fact I played it for like 2 days so far, and I've been almost playing non-stop, so I can give you guys a pretty good example of what's going on. So firstly, attacking has become a lot more aggressive. Now, why is that, you say? Well, that's because of the fact that the amount of viable spawn peekers has gone down a lot. But there are a lot of the viable spawn peekers have changed. My opinion, the best viable spawn peekers right now are, let me think. We have Rook, Doc, what else? Frickin' Echo, Maestro, Jaeger, and the final one, which is the weirdest one, is Warden. Now, why are all these ops super good? Spawn peeking, well, they either have a 1.5, the new red dot, or the 2x optic. In the case of Maestro and Rook, they both have access to a 2x optic, although Maestro, it's only on the shotgun, but who cares? And the rest of them have either 1.5x or red dots on weapons that already either have A, very low recoil, or B, very high damage. The biggest addition, though, to that I love is Warden. Warden is now actually a competitive force. And that's just because of the fact that, unlike some characters where there's just enough recoil where the 1.5x can bounce around a little bit, because it's just low enough zoom, to where it's not like you're not getting like just like the normal standard recoil, but it's just it's not zoomed enough to where you can like precise each shot out correctly. So it's kind of strange like that. But it has just the right recoil for it. So you basically have a laser beam. If anyone wants a comparison, it's basically like throwing a hollow sight on a frickin' ACR, Modern Warfare 2, with a bit faster fire rate, effectively. But yeah, so with the new sights and all that, and with the changing of who can spawn peek and stuff like that, there's a lot more aggressive plays, and as you can see here, I'm nowhere near as passive as I usually am. I mean, I'm running around back and forth. I'm chasing ops down much more, and that's because, simply put, I feel more comfortable doing so. As for, well, I should say this, there are 4 ops I think that have gotten the biggest buff out of this season. First one is Jackal. The new scope on his AR makes him a force to be reckoned with. He can now find targets, and he can see them so much better than he did before. I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, but he doesn't have the ACOG, he doesn't have the 2.5 times. The thing that makes him better in this case is the scope itself. The reticle and all that just fits so perfectly and is just right for the recoil, so the gun's a laser beam. As you can see right here, I have no recoil, and I have almost perfect accuracy. Next up is Finka. Like I said, she also got the same buff of a 2 times. It just makes her weapon so much easier, because now you're no longer contesting with the Russian ACOG for your to put on target. Now you have a really good sniper-ish scope, and it allows you to get your shots on target a lot easier. So it buffs her a lot. The biggest buff by far, though, was probably Lion. For those who don't know, he has access to the ACOG and the 2 times optic, but he also now has access to the new gadget for attacking, which is the breaching, the hard breaching tool. So not only is Lion a casual hard breacher now, he is now an intel operator, and he has one of the best guns in the game with one of the best scopes in the game. Oh, I forget as well, he's the only character on attacking that doesn't have an LMG that has access to every single scope. Except for the 1.5. He does not have access to the 1.5. That's because of the fact that he has access to 2 times, 2 times and ACOG on his assault rifle, and he now has the DMR M417 with the 3 times. The last one I'll talk about, which also got a pretty major buff, is Maverick. So what Maverick got is that he ended up gaining a extra Surrey torch canister. So he has an extra one of those, so he now has 6. But also he got the 1.5 times for his AR, and he got the 3 times for his DMR. Specifically, the gadget upgrade is obviously great, but the biggest one overall is that 3 times scope. The biggest issue with Maverick before this was that his DMR was just underpowered. It wasn't good enough, really. Obviously, it was still good. It just wasn't as good as other DMRs in the same class. Now with the 3 times, that 10-round mag that was causing so much stigma is now completely useless. Or is now completely, fixed, I guess. Because it's like the 417 before the buff. The reason why the 417 was so good before they buffed it still was because it had 0 recoil and really good, or should I say really good accuracy / recoil. So you give a gun that has low recoil and only has a 10-round mag due to limitations. Oh, let's just give the new scope that makes a 1-shot like a 2-shotting machine at almost any range. Perfection. As the operators that got the biggest nerfs in the season, we have Doc. He lost his ACOG and he has no access to 2 times scopes. Next up is Jaeger, but not really. Basically, Jaeger is just, he's there, but he hasn't gained anything from it. What else? Ash got a massive nerf. The G36 lost its ACOG on her, and does not have a 2 times. And Ash's weapon obviously has nothing new. And the other big loser that people have been talking about is actually Ela. Ela has gained nothing from the patch. Therefore, meaning that a bunch of operators now, a good example being being Mira, can now, if they were in a 1v1 with each other, Mira has the advantage. Because they fire at roughly the same rate of fire. Mira has less ammo in the mag, but she now has a better sight. So Mira is just probably a better way to play Ela unless you're like running around like a madman. But let's get on to the final review. Out of 10, I'll give this update a 9.5 out of 10. The 0.5 off is because this game does have a lot of bugs still. We have the panorama bug where you essentially cannot you get stuck viewing the outside of the map in your drone, and as soon as the bug comes into place, you must restart your game in order to be able to play again, or at least play normally again. Another big one is the no audio glitch is back. There's the rubber banding on certain jumps and vault locations is back. Also, certain characters or certain such things like drones and some players do animations that cause your bullets just not to connect. But that's it really for the bugs. But yeah, overall 9.5 out of 10. This update was great. It makes the game much more balanced, and it makes the rules much more easy to flow. Look forward to the next video when I'm going to try and review the new op once I get access to them. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and with this whole friend situation going on, a lot more solo content's coming your way, even though it might be slowed down. That being said, hopefully you guys enjoyed. This is Desmond2530 signing off.